Hello, everyone. We are very happy to welcome here on the Agora. So we will start with the first roundtable of this Text World Evolution edition. So I'm currently with great entrepreneurs who all have developed a business with new materials. And today we will focus on the food waste as a key resource for the future of fashion. So maybe you can introduce each other in 3 minutes. Would you like to start, Thomas?
Does it work?
Yeah.
Hi, so my name is Thomas Lamparter. At Wet Green, I'm in charge of the sales side, what we call olivenleder. So it's an olive leaf tanned leather, or basically we can use any kind of byproducts from olive growing. Yes, I grew up in a tannery, almost became 11th generation tanner, but took a different route via leather and shoe manufacturing, so more the engineering side, went into automotive leather, and then ended up doing the search for sustainable leather for kids' shoes with olivenleder, and thought, okay, that actually is the direction to go, yeah? To make, as long as people are tanning skins as byproducts from food and dairy industry, it of course makes sense to tan them in the best way possible. Yeah, and so that's what we do. We use byproducts from olive growing. The unique part about that is that there's something included. You all know it maybe from if you eat some oleo extra virgine, so the highest grade of olive oil. There's something a little bit spicy at the back of the throat. And that actually is a cross-linker and a very strong antioxidant, which makes the olive so healthy. And that is also included in all byproducts, like the olive leaves, the pomace, the black water. And we, at the moment, primarily extract the olive leaves. So instead of burning the leaves, we basically brew a tea and make a syrup, which we then sell to the tanneries to help them change tanning for especially soft leathers, bright leathers in many different colors, to replace the classical tanning chemicals like chromium, aluminium, zirconium, so basically all the metal parts, as well as the synthetic reactive tanning agents like glutaraldehyde, which all derive from crude oil, for which you always need some oil rig or other ways of generating oil. Yeah, so that's basically what I do. So if you want to make sustainable leather or need sustainable leather, check it out for olivenleder at www.olivenleder.com, or just contact me after our roundtable.
Thank you very much. So now we have Hannes.
Yes. Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for inviting us. My name is Hannes Schoeneger. I'm one of the co-founders of Question, which is a Swiss-based bag brand. We make backpacks and weekender bags, and we have been doing this since 2008. And we were also trying to find new ways of materials that we can incorporate. So we are from a brand side actually developing something new out of the need for alternatives. And after working with hemp and bamboo and organic cotton, obviously, we developed the banana fiber in 2015. And we actually managed to make the first technical fabric, which is 100% purely made from banana fiber. And we introduced this in our bags. That was at the end of 2018. And since then, we have constantly changed our whole collection into this banana material. And because of the demand from all sorts of industries and different companies was so big, we decided to make a spin-off company, which is called Bananatex, obviously. And we now share this material with other brands. So you can already buy furniture with the Bananatex. You can buy shoes at H&M, for example. There will be maybe applications in automotive industries, fashion, and many others. So this is where we come from and where we are at the moment.
Congrats. Jayesh Veer.
Hello, good afternoon. So I am Jayesh Veer, the co-founder and the president of Green Whisper. It's a French company based in the western suburb of Paris, near Versailles. So we make textile out of, our company specializes in making products out of agricultural waste. And we make textile from the banana stem fiber. So I think most of you know that banana tree is a tree that gives fruits only once, and after that it's just burnt or dumped. And this is where Green Whisper came up with the idea of giving a second life to this waste that is generated around the world. We make yarn out of it, and after that we make the textile. And our textiles are being used everywhere. Wherever you see a woven fabric, Green Whisper can supply, has already supplied the textile. The T-shirt that I am wearing is also made by Green Whisper. So we see applications in almost every domain that has a woven textile need. Thank you.
Thank you. Charles?
So hello everyone, my name is Charles from the company RBX Creations that we created in 2016 with my sister Anne. So first we started with the shoe materials. So I often say that a shoe is a fantastic product because you can find rubber, you can find textile, you can find metal pieces for the eyelets, you can find plastic. So from the shoe, we turned into the topic of materials in general. We used some cork, we used some cinnamon, we used different things to make footwear products. And for the last 3 years, we mainly focus on hemp and flax byproducts, I would say, to make innovative fibers based on the cellulose. And this is more the topic that we will be talking about today, about these hemp and flax byproducts fibers. Thank you.
The second Hannes.
Hello, thanks for inviting me. My name is Hannes. I'm founder and CEO of Frumat. And Frumat was founded in 2008 with the purpose to transform industrial waste in new raw materials. So we started not creating something for fashion, but we started with the idea to transform food waste in new raw material. And so we started to test several different materials, from carrots to sugarcane, from grapes to cranberry. And at the end of, we choose to start with the apples, as we have a lot of them in our area, so everything is really local. All our products are made in Italy. And the apples are the only fruit that will be processed all year long, so we don't have any, we have raw material all year long, so it's not a seasonal product. And at the beginning, we created the apple paper. So we create also paper, graphic paper, tissue paper, paper for cardboard. And then since end of 2014, we are on the market with the apple skin that finds application from the book binding to furniture, from footwear to garment, and many different applications. So our target was always to use all the residuals. So we extract anything, but we close completely the circle of the apples, the loop.
The loop. Thank you.
Bonjour, je suis Benjamin Malatré, je suis le président et cofondateur d'Ictios. Ictios, c'est en fait un petit challenge qu'on s'est lancé entre 3 amis, donc Gauthier, Emmanuel et moi. On est 3 amis d'école d'ingénieurs chimistes et en sortant de nos études, on s'est rendu compte que les pots de poisson étaient jetés à la poubelle. En fait, et ça représente juste une quantité astronomique. C'est 50 000 tonnes de pots chaque année qui sont jetées à la poubelle. Et on s'est demandé comment est-ce qu'on pouvait valoriser cette ressource qui aujourd'hui est inexploitée et a un impact direct sur l'environnement. Il faut savoir que les pots de poisson, contrairement à un autre déchet qui peut être entre guillemets plus simple comme des déchets végétaux, qu'on va simplement brûler et qui auront un pouvoir calorifique. Il faut dépenser de l'énergie aujourd'hui pour purifier et pour détruire les peaux de poisson qui sont issues d'une activité indispensable qui est l'alimentation. Donc on a récupéré des peaux dans un restaurant de sushi dans la région parisienne, quelques écorces dans la forêt parce qu'on avait entendu parler que l'étannage végétal utilisait des tanins végétaux et donc du coup qu'il y en avait dans les écorces d'arbres. Et on s'est lancé le défi maintenant il y a 5 ans de créer une nouvelle filière du cuir, une filière qui est respectueuse de l'origine de la matière première, qui ne vient pas d'un élevage pour une peau, mais également qui apporte de l'innovation à travers de nouveaux grains, de nouveaux esthétiques, des procédés qui sont les plus verts possibles, notamment en prenant en compte la renouvelabilité des procédés, mais aussi la durée de vie des produits. L'objectif était d'avoir, et encore aujourd'hui, d'avoir le matériau qui tient le plus longtemps possible. Et aujourd'hui, ça nous a amené à créer la première tannerie en France depuis près de 50 ans, un des leaders européens déjà dans le cuir marin, et on est uniquement dédié à ça. On est aujourd'hui plus de 10 personnes et on travaille des cuirs comme le cuir de saumon, le cuir de truite, le cuir de carpe. Et en fait, tous les poissons qui sont consommés, qui sont un coproduit de l'alimentation, ont intérêt à être valorisés parce que sinon, ils vont avoir un impact. Sinon, c'est se fermer les yeux. Fermer les yeux sur une ressource que notre activité, l'alimentation, génère. Et donc, notre mission est d'apporter de la nouveauté tout en ayant un impact positif sur l'environnement. Aujourd'hui, c'est des cuirs qui peuvent être utilisés en maroquinerie, en horlogerie, dans le textile, dans tout le métier des métiers du textile, avec le prêt-à-porter, mais aussi dans l'aménagement, le design intérieur. Enfin, les applications sont illimitées.
Très bien. Donc, tant que nous mangerons du poisson, il y aura ichthyosis. My first question is, if we have been talking about cradle to cradle and reevaluation for a long time, in fashion, the use of materials not resulting from recycling and reuse dominates. So what elements suggest that the trend will be reversed? What do you think about it? Vas-y, Charles.
I think the first topic will be the access to the resource. So we can see now that in the fashion industry, the first material used is synthetic polyester, polyamide, so it's a fossil-based material. And we have to diversify the supply of materials, just because you cannot have one resource forever. And I think it's the main reason that now we see that to get enough resources is not an easy topic anymore.
Okay, it makes sense.
I will also add that the awareness has become much more today than it was like 10 years ago. And what I see, and even all these people here, we are coming up with something really that can be used in our daily life. It's not like a concept that something innovative has come, but we don't know how to use. We at Green Whisper, for example, we have textile that can be used for every daily range without any operational constraints. So this is where I think that helps people like people sitting here that, okay, if I want to buy a T-shirt or a jeans made with the banana tree fiber, am I going to change my lifestyle or something? Will I have to pay a heavy price or not? And this is why I think the trend will go in that sense.
Okay. Anyone else?
Oui. On a fait de plus en plus attention à ce qu'on consommait, à ce qu'on mangeait, parce que c'était un besoin élémentaire, imminent. Et on voit l'essor du bio, l'essor de l'alimentation saine, l'essor de la production locale, parce qu'on le touche avec sa bouche, ça rentre dans notre corps. C'est extrêmement important que de bien se nourrir. On en parle aujourd'hui, c'est extrêmement évident, mais réfléchissez-y il y a 50 ans. Que disait-on sur la nourriture saine locale? Enfin, on n'était pas encore à ce point dans l'applicatif. Si on prend un peu l'urgence des besoins prioritaires, la suite logique, ça va être ce qui nous touche. Qu'est-ce qui nous touche au quotidien, du moment où on se lève au moment où on va se coucher? Ce sont nos habits, ce sont nos vêtements, ce sont même ça qui participe à construire notre identité. Et je pense que la suite logique, c'est de remarquer, enfin, c'est de s'investir aussi sur des démarches qui sont plus engagées, qui sont plus responsables, qui sont déjà opérationnelles. Pareil, on n'est pas sur des domaines comme l'énergie, où on parle de solutions à horizon 30, 40, 50 ans. Les gens que vous avez autour de cette table aujourd'hui, ils ont des solutions. Ils ont des solutions innovantes qui permettent au plus aux marques engagées qui vont attraper les marchés qui arrivent sur la consommation responsable dans le vêtement et la maroquinerie de manière plus générale. Mais c'est une vague qui arrive et ceux qui seront prêts et qui auront déjà des solutions en profiteront au maximum.
Très bien. Anything to add?
Well, when we started in 2008, we decided to make bags from plants, to use natural materials. And the reason is there's about 80% of all accessories you can see in the street, and no matter whether it's Tokyo or San Francisco or wherever you go, 80% is made from plastic. And we know that about 9% of all plastics are recycled. Actually, of all plastic that has ever been produced, it's only 0.9%. So there's a huge gap and a huge problem. And I think natural fibers can hopefully be part of a solution towards a more circular future in many different industries. And by the way, we have... this is a very new information. It's actually a world premiere. We have created a platform for natural fibers, which we are going to launch this week. It's called Fibril Alliance. It's fibril.org. And it's a combination of some innovators, including Circular Systems being one very successful pioneer, including Pinatex, which is probably the first innovation on a leather side, and Bananatex is also part of this. And we are there to enhance and to support the use of natural fibers in many different applications in the future.
Thank you. Great. Maybe you will find other...
We hope so, yes. As many as possible.
Thomas?
Yeah, I think the main driver is for sure the industry. So the industry players, they must not only maybe look for price, but really want to move forward with a solution. If you look to BMW, they created what we today know as the i3, where they simply try to use as many innovative materials as possible, and which is basically also was our first customer. When then the colleague said, okay, now we can found a company because you don't only have a solution, but now you've also got a buyer for it. So it needs the industry for sure, and it of course needs the resource, the accessibility, and the possibility to actually scale it up so that it doesn't have to remain into a niche, but that it's something which keeps occurring to be there any time. Yeah? So whether it's a banana fibers, or whether it's an apple waste, for example, or whether it's fish skin, yeah? As long as people are eating animals, or there's basically a waste product which would otherwise cause other problems if it would be dumped. It makes absolutely sense to use that as a resource and treat it in a way that it also keeps its dignity, so that the animal, for example, was treated nice during it was the time it was alive, and then also it keeps its dignity by not being abused using heavy metals or so and putting that in it, but to actually treat it in a nice way that if everyone here as a consumer wants to consume such a product, can consume it with a good conscience. Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm curious to know what characteristics made you interested in a particular resource. You have already a little bit explained the story for Ichthyosis, but the other ones, maybe why bananas?
Well, in our case, it's very easy. We were looking for something that is very resilient, durable, strong. And there are a few natural fibers that have that property. In Europe, it would probably be hemp. But as we build up a supply chain in Asia, we had to find something similar. And the banana fiber has a long history in that textile segment. They used to make shipping ropes for centuries, actually. The only challenge was to find a way to make a very fine yarn which can be woven into a technical fabric. And that was the reason why we started there and developed the supply chain from there.
Okay. And you?
For us, we were looking to find solution for two problems. One was the burning of agro waste, which is we don't see that in Europe, but I come from India, so I know agricultural waste burning is a big problem there and some other parts of the world. And so this was one thing. And second thing was we were looking for a raw material that is freely available. When I say free, means with zero impact on the environment. And this is where a combination of agricultural waste and something that we can make out of it came up. And when we discovered that banana tree is a waste at every 9 months or every 12 months, and then we thought that it can be converted to make yarn. And when we did some R&D, and we even found that the Japanese in the 13th century used to make their kimono using the banana tree fiber. So we thought, why not bring back the old technology that was just forgotten because of the cotton revolution, and this is where we came up. So we have something that's zero impact on the environment. We don't even need any agricultural land to grow the raw material. No water, no CO2, no energy is needed. We just go at the end of the fruit season, get the stems, make the fiber, and then the yarn.
Good. 2 points for banana trees. What about hemp?
So the story that brought us to what we do now, at the beginning it came from the Vietnamese hemp, because we worked in Vietnam on hemp at the beginning of our company. And when we came back to France, we saw that hemp was grown there too, but in a completely different way. It was more grown for food, because the seeds were giving a good income to the farmers, and not for textile at all. So this is the starting point for us to combine on the same field a crop that can give you something for food and some straws for some other applications, and in textile in particular. But why hemp? Because also when you grow something on a field, like it can be wheat, it can be corn, it can be rapeseed or whatever, you cannot always take all that the field gives to you. You have to bring back something to the soil to keep the soil alive. And in our case, with the farmers we have been working with nearby our hometown, they have a specific way to manage their farms. Like they know, okay, we harvest the wheat to make the flour and all the stuff we know. With the straws, we take it to give to the animals. Rapeseeds, I wanted to take the straws to do something, but they told me, no, we keep it on the field to keep a nitrogen level that allows them not to use chemical fertilizers. So there's a lot to do with agriculture. It's important to be well connected with the farmers, because it's something, of course, global. The problem is global, so we have to think global, but then to act local with the people at the really beginning of the material supply. And we also worked on flax a little bit, because you can have also some oilseed flax. And in our case, we saw that the straws were not really used, and there could be a better potential, but it also depends on if you have something that grows well, or if you have something that grows just a little, you won't take the straws, you will give it back to the soil as a fertilizer. So there are a lot of things to consider when it comes to agriculture. And in our case, we found the agriculture we like with the hemp.
Great. And you, Apple?
Yeah, for us, Apple, as I said, is really local. So our first target was to keep everything. For us, is really important transparency, and then it is also ethical vision. So we would do everything locally. So everything, the raw materials comes, and the production side is not that far away. And then the traceability. So this is another big point that people are asking for. And apples, we have many of them. Apples will be processed all year long, as said. So we have not a seasonal product. And this was why we chose to start with apples. And we tried out many different kinds of fruits or vegetables. But at the end, you have working with a natural fiber is not that easy that it seems at the end when you see the product. But we have to choose one and to start with this one. Otherwise, it will be like a market and you go, give me 5 meters of tomatoes, 5 meters of carrots, and it will be really difficult to manage this. Also because we transform the waste in raw material on the side where the waste is produced. So we don't transport waste anyway. And this is huge save in cost.
Yeah, so as soon as we want to recreate local industries, we are pushed to consider different resources that we maybe had forgotten before. So it's very interesting, and it's something that we can understand from all your testimonies, as far as I understand. Maybe Thomas or Benjamin, you want to add something?
Yeah, I can add something.
Yeah.
Yes, for example, my colleagues, when they were doing the research, coming from the German Tanning Institute, so their part was all the scientific part when they were trying all sorts of different tanning technologies. And they were always searching for a solution to that current metal tanning or that synthetic tanning, that there must be some other alternative available. But also something which is, of course, accessible in large quantities. So it doesn't help if you can only then make a couple square meters, and it's nice to have, but nobody can buy because you cannot produce it. And at some point, they were approached by some people, scientists, let's say more on the food or beauty side. And if you actually if you go to a supermarket and check for the high quality, let's say anti-aging creams, they all have one in common. They all include an olive leaf extract. So if you check next time, they're normally the expensive products, but the only ones which really works. And so they said if that actually has got a healthy component to the skin, so it basically stretches the skin, then there must be something in there which should also work for the tanning. I mean, if you look back into for the last centuries, how did the people do classical vegetable tanning? They had a pit, they put in the hides, and they put in the tanning agent. And if you look to an olive leaf, which is very hard, robust, it's hardly biodegrades, which is normally burned. That's the main reason. There's too many leaves available, so they simply burn them. Said, hey, that actually, if that really works, we need to find a way how it works. And for sure, people in Spain, Italy, and so on, all over the Mediterranean will have tried to use that vast availability of olive leaves. But we found, okay, if you only dump it or put it in a pit, it doesn't really work. So it actually works really well in a modern tannery, in a modern facility where you've got something moving and so on, and that's where it then actually worked. So they developed the way how to extract this, what we call this magic molecule, the oleuropein, which is part of the olive tree, and the bittery but the healthy part of the olive tree. And that is what we can extract from the byproducts from olive growing. And if you look, for example, the part of availability, if you look to the leaves only, and that's talking only leaves, all over the Mediterranean would cover already 40% of the global leather production. No? So that would mean covering, if you look to shoes, is about 60%, so you could cover 100% automotive, 100% upholstery, garments, accessories, all that you could cover by byproducts from olive growing with the leaves only. And if you would say, no, I want to do it all in real tanning, then you could use also the pomace and the black water from the olive mills. Also extract there also those molecules. And then you could easily cover 100% of the global leather production, or could transfer it into a sustainable future. For sure, you also need some other plants for certain properties and the re-tanning, but the innovation comes in when you can actually then replace in the pre-tanning, so the first step of the real tanning, the classical metals or the synthetics. So the accessibility is really important to be able to scale it up, but of course you must be able to reach the high properties demanded by the industry. So if our technology with olive leather is the only one being used in automotive, for example, because we meet the height requirements of the automotive industry for a seat cover, for a dashboard, which classical vegetable tanning so far cannot achieve.
Yes, that certainly is the main challenge of all of your businesses, I guess, scalability. Because of course it's up to you to adapt to your clients, and extremely rarely it's the clients who try to adapt to the material at that point. Most of the startups working on new materials, they start by creating a product to demonstrate that it is possible to make fashion products with their new material. Benjamin, you want to say something? Mais tu as déjà pas mal introduit et défendu la peau de poisson comme matière première, mais si tu veux ajouter quelque chose.
Oui, nous chez Ichthyoos, on a vraiment l'idée donc d'apporter une nouvelle matière et qu'elle soit la plus écologique possible. Mais ça ne veut rien dire. Dit comme ça ne veut rien dire. L'idée, c'est d'identifier quels sont les trois principaux éléments qui nous permettent de comparer et d'améliorer les procédés et l'impact de ces procédés. Et en fait, de manière plus générale, le premier point vient de l'approvisionnement. Quelle matière première j'utilise et quel est son impact sur l'environnement aujourd'hui. Donc là, c'est ce que je vous ai expliqué sur la peau de poisson, qui a aujourd'hui un impact négatif si on ne l'utilise pas, et même grave. Le second, c'est le procédé. Quels autres intrants? Est-ce que j'ai besoin d'autres matières? Est-ce que j'ajoute des plastiques? Qu'est-ce que je fais dans mon procédé? Est-ce que c'est de l'eau qui est utilisée? Voilà. L'impact de la transformation de la matière aux matériaux. Mais ce n'est pas tout. C'est pas tout, et on oublie souvent l'élément le plus important qui est la durée de vie du produit. Et l'élément de la durée de vie justifie parfois certains choix. Je vous prends un exemple. Aujourd'hui, nous avons développé Ichthyoos avec un tannage végétal. On a développé des couleurs végétales et on s'est rendu compte que la reproductibilité des couleurs était relativement limitée. Reproduire une couleur naturelle, avec des teintures naturelles, est extrêmement complexe. Deuxième problème, la lumière et l'UV dégradent les pigments de manière tellement forte qu'au bout de 6 mois, nous ne retrouvons plus la couleur initiale. Donc si c'est pour avoir un produit qui est une matière qui tient dans le temps mais dont la couleur se dégrade, il va finir à la poubelle. L'idée, c'est de se dire, OK, et si j'utilise d'autres teintures, quel peut être l'impact sur la durée de vie de l'utilisation du produit? On a fait une comparaison. 6 mois avec une teinture naturelle. Les estimations des tests accélérés d'usure présentent qu'en 25 ans, la couleur bougera un tout petit peu sur les cuirs marins en tannage végétal avec des teintures conventionnelles. Et là, le choix il peut paraître assez bizarre de se dire, bon, OK, mais du coup, ce n'est pas une teinture végétale, du coup, ce n'est pas une teinture naturelle, ce n'est pas le cuir le plus éco-responsable. Non, mais c'est un cuir qui va avoir la plus grande durée de vie possible. Et c'est toute l'idée d'apporter un matériau qui va pouvoir se léguer, qui va pouvoir se transmettre, qui va pouvoir vivre et représenter l'héritage d'une nouvelle génération. Voilà, par exemple, une des questions qu'on a pu se poser aussi.
Très bien. Du coup, je vais sauter une question et changer l'ordre des questions parce que ton témoignage m'envoie directement à la question suivante, qui est il est extrêmement complexe donc de créer une entreprise rentable à impact. dans le contexte économique actuel. Il y a des organisations, est-ce qu'il y a des organisations qui vous soutiennent pour le développement de votre activité? Parce que on pense notamment que, comme tu le disais, il faut considérer, alors à partir du moment où on essaie justement d'avoir une entreprise à impact, ça veut dire se poser des questions de bout en bout du processus et non pas seulement à un seul endroit. Ça veut dire aussi qu'on s'expose à beaucoup de remarques et beaucoup de questionnements de la part des clients, de la part de la presse peut-être, etc. Donc comment on fait dans ce contexte-là et est-ce que vous avez eu des soutiens? If you want me to translate in English, I'll try to be super quick.
Yes, please.
All right. I was asking because we understand that it's very complex to make a impactful, positively impactful business. We understand that you have to think about the whole process, and you will be more exposed to the critics as soon as you push the ecological and social or ethical impact of your business in front of your communication. So have you get specific help from other organization or institution to set up your companies, to develop your products? How did you do? How did you success in pushing from at the front your new materials?
So in our case, it was definitely something that needed passion and belief, because in reality, responsible businesses are still punished, and the ones that don't work responsibly, they have a benefit actually. And I think if policies change, and they will change hopefully soon enough, then the whole picture will go upside down, and products that are more cheap as of today will be much more expensive, rather than products that are circular, responsibly made from natural fibers, for example. But right now, the real costs are not counted in, and we all pay for it eventually when we take the plastic out of the ocean or out of the food chain or out of ourselves, because it's everywhere, as an example. And I think it needs a lot of persistence and passion, as I said, but in our case we did not get any major support from any organization or authorities or government yet.
Not yet.
Let's see.
And you?
Well, we did things a bit differently. We had an idea, we knew it's gonna work, and even before the product was out, we approached our very first client. It's a very big hotel group in France. And they liked the idea, and they said, okay, we come up with the product, and we're going to launch a pilot with you. Pilot means one entire hotel with our bed sheets and everything. And that was, let's say, the thing that we're looking forward to encourage ourselves. Okay, then everything went okay. And then this is how we were approaching clients to talk about the product, to show the product, instead of looking for support and then develop anything. So we said, let the product speak for itself, and the rest will follow. And then if I really have to name one organization that really changed things for Green Whisper, is Fashion for Good in Amsterdam. We were part of the 2018 batch. And I would say that all the partners that are part of Fashion for Good are really the type of company that we all look for. They are risk taker. They believe in this new concept. And thanks to this, we got some very good, let's say, orders, not just pilots, but really big orders from these companies that really wanted to put our product in the market and And that was an entry for us in the fashion world, because before fashion for good, we were, let's say, thinking an easy way of sticking only into the hotel industry. We supply the bed sheets and all the beddings, and it's okay for us. We are happy. But with fashion for good, we got to know that okay, the rules are different, and this is where it became interesting for Green Whisper.
Alors nous, il y a quelque chose d'assez drôle qui a été fait, c'est que dès qu'on a eu l'idée de lancer une tannerie à partir de peaux de poisson, de cuir marin, on a réalisé une vidéo. On a réalisé une vidéo après avoir les premiers résultats de test et on a lancé un crowdfunding sur Internet. On a battu le record d'une plateforme sur laquelle on le réalisait et on a levé 100 000 € en 30 jours, juste avec une idée.
Wow.
À partir de là, tout s'est enclenché. Il y a eu un mouvement aussi des différentes marques. Alors, la croissance la plus saine, elle se fait avec ses clients, ça c'est sûr et certain. Et par contre, on est tous dans une industrie extrêmement capitalistique, c'est-à-dire qu'on finance des machines, on finance de la recherche et développement, on finance des prototypes, on finance des ingénieurs. Et tout ça, avant d'avoir les productions, avant d'avoir forcément les collections de nos clients qui peuvent se lancer. Juste pour vous donner un ordre d'idée, on est sur un marché un peu spécifique sur le domaine du cuir, mais avec une maison horlogère suisse, pour lancer une collection de nouveaux bracelets, ça dure 7 ans. C'est-à-dire qu'entre le moment où on présente les premiers échantillons et le moment où il y a une industrialisation, c'est 7 années. Donc, au niveau financier, quand on est une start-up, qu'on a des ingénieurs à payer au mois le mois, etc., on ne peut pas miser que là-dessus. Donc, en tout cas, pour nous, il y a eu des phases de levée de fonds. Ça fait partie des startups industrielles de manière plus générale, mais également des soutiens qui peuvent être par la Fédération du cuir à travers un incubateur qui est unique au monde, qui s'appelle Au-delà du cuir et qui accompagne les startups en participant également en partie à leur financement ou à leurs accès à leur financement. Les régions également ont beaucoup aidé, mais je vous rejoins. La croissance la plus saine, c'est celle de nos clients, par nos clients.
But your testimony is really good because it shows that we can find help around us. And sometimes when you try to do something new, you feel so lonely in the ocean. So it's good to know that you found support. But that's definitely because you had this great business idea at the beginning.
C'est ça. Et puis, si l'idée répondait juste à mon propre besoin personnel, vaut mieux pas que je trouve accès à des financements, je risque de les gâcher, ça ne servirait à rien. L'idée, c'est de voir aussi, de mesurer l'intérêt de son marché, de mesurer l'intérêt de la population de manière plus générale. Et si on répond à un besoin qui touche les gens, si les gens sont prêts à mettre de l'argent dans des projets fous de transformer des peaux de poisson en cuir pour changer le monde de la maroquinerie, pourquoi les marques n'y croiraient pas? Et les marques commencent à y croire, les marques développent des projets, des produits. Et oui, en tout cas, c'est ça qui a permis de déclencher, pour 3 pauvres ingénieurs avec 5 000 € d'investissement initial, d'avoir réussi à lever plus d'1 million d'euros pour développer tout ça.
Hannes?
Yeah, for us, it was just passion. As starting that many times ago, something recycled was something strange, ugly, not really
Common or
demand of it. So we was not able to raise any money, 0 cents. So we started doing the requests by recycling waste. Then we call it upcycling waste. But there was no way more than 10 years ago. And then once we finished the industrialization, and then it was a high-tech innovation, something new. But because right now, I think many people are interested in invest something sustainable. So now I think everything what is with green economy, that's now it's really easy to raise money to develop something.
now everybody is trusting you because you were a pioneer.
Yeah, I'm happy because I'm ready. We have already industrialized everything, so for us now, I think the biggest problem is the price, as always. Yeah, but the
So you
Asian product is much cheaper. And we
you
say
didn't get support, but now everybody is asking your support to develop sustainable business. Fun. And you?
Yes, I understand what have been said before, because when we started 7 years ago, I think people thought we were a little bit crazy. Even me, I changed my job just to go in that adventure. And I think one topic is just don't give up, keep going. And as long as you have results, you see more people getting interested in what you do. And in our case, we had people coming from the agriculture part and people coming from the fashion industry. So in both sides, we caught the attention of some people. And I would say for the last 2 years, we got more support from the region where the company is based, in Aquitaine, and from Europe also, because we've been in European programs with some other companies or some research centers. And we can feel that there is a...
It was Innotex, or no, another one?
Oh, different European programs. Galactica, Elite, Leader program for farming, different European programs these last 2 years. So this is also something good, because when some private companies don't want to invest, for instance, you can rely a bit on some public fundings. Of course, it's a lot of paperwork to do and a lot of time to have your form accepted, and sometimes it's not accepted. So it's also a lot of work, but in our case, it helped us to move forward. But the first years, it was more just go and don't give up.
So maybe Thomas, you want to add something about it, or?
Well, probably a similar story, like especially like maybe Hannes at the time, more than 10 years ago, when the colleague started. Most people in the industry would say those guys are crazy. Green economy and all those buzzwords were not existing so much. More or less, especially if you look to the tanning side, any innovation is more or less very criticized, and people want that everything stays as it has been always. Yeah, that it initially came from actually vegetable tanning, and maybe now goes back to vegetable tanning. Then those people are likely to forget. I mean, even chrome tanning needed more than 40 years to become established. Yes, in our case, for example, the colleagues started it, but then became part of a group of researchers which was belonging to a large food company, which then traded off or bought one company from our today's group we belong to, and they then said the Martin Bauer group, where we belong to, they're maybe the worldwide largest manufacturer of herbal and fruit teas, said, okay, hey, we know about sourcing, we can do your extraction, we don't have a clue about tanning, but sounds like a good idea, so they bought us over. So far, quite a challenge for them, but still patient, which is good. Yeah, so I think it's difficult in that industry. You need to keep going and never give up, but fight for it. And I think in often, like one part of your question was, you actually need to highlight also the, let's say, the downsides of the existing economies, because that old economy is always trying to keep innovations down, yeah, as long as they have not invented them. So anything new coming up from outside they look very skeptical to it, and actually try to, ideally it goes away without any major attention.
Yeah, so that question was for the entrepreneurs that are here maybe. And I have another question, because I guess that we have textile professionals in the audience. And also, I know that some of you brought samples, so to convince those textile professionals about the quality of your offer, maybe we can pass some samples, but also you can talk about the data that you have about your product to suggest that your ecological impact is really good.
Maybe I'll do the start with this one then, not always the last. Yeah, I think that is an interesting point to ask. We are currently doing a deep investigation basically from the olive plantations where you would normally burn a leaf. Nobody is doing anything with them, so they get burned because they need the space. And if you then actually look into the data, what companies are comparing solutions like ours, you will quickly find out that they don't go into where does that raw material come from. So their prime source, if you look to, for example, we are providing that tanning solution, where does chrome as a tanning agent come from, or where does aluminum or zirconium come from, or where does glutaraldehyde based on crude oil come from. So you need to go way back to basically to the mine or to an oil rig or other ways of gaining oil today. And I think if you then talk to those brands who want to have those comparisons for their life cycle assessments and other nonsense basically, because they don't really look to circularity, which should be the main goal, you find that the brands are comparing some information they have received, but no, they're all reluctant to actually go back to the mine. And how is the mining done? Under what circumstances for the people and the environment, but also then to what has to go into such, let's say, the stuff which has been mined until it is actually suitable, for example, for the tanning. And all that is not really done. Or if you look to the US, where they are doing this, how do you say? Sort of the oil, they put in the chemicals into the soil to get up the oil, and all the oil spills then around it. They don't really look to all that and what it has with it. Yeah? And like the other colleagues here said, if you look at the bigger story and, for example, waste, you would price waste at the real price, then the whole calculation would change. If a company producing solid waste has to pay money for that in the way how it should not be, and that not everybody is paying for it, then quickly stuff like banana or other solutions here would quickly be suddenly cheaper, or can easily compete. But as long as waste is too cheap, especially special waste, I think it's always a challenge for new solutions which actually are really giving a benefit to the environment.
Well, in our case, we developed Bananatex as a back brand from the farmer to a partner who does the yarn, to the weaving mill, the dyeing, the finishing, everything. So for us, there was no need to apply for a certification because we knew and we were involved in all transparent stages. But as soon as we started working with other brands, like luxury brands or major textile companies, they said, oh, that's a great material. The properties are great. We see it's 100% natural. You tell a great story, but can you prove that? And so we decided to make a certification process, and there are lots of certificates in the world, and many of them are frankly useless. But there are a few that have quite a high standard, and we thought we choose Cradle to Cradle as a certification, which is a challenging process, but we went through that, and we got the certification back in December. So now it is kind of official to show others that what we told everyone before is actually a fact. But it's an ongoing process, and you find things that you can still improve. So it's not something that lasts forever. And from that perspective, it's actually very good, and I would recommend it to everyone to undergo such a process.
Thank you. What about you? Some figures about?
Yeah, so we did our own LCA analysis, and after that it was an external agency that also kind of validated what we had. They even found better results than us because maybe we were too much pessimistic about our approach or whatever. So in broad lines, what we have discovered that our fabric, if I start from the farms, banana tree farms, till the final fabric that is there roaming around. We emit 3 times less CO2 than an equivalent cotton fabric, for example, a T-shirt, for example. And we need 2 times less energy to make the same fabric. And if you talk about the water savings, we have come around water savings of around 60%. I mean, 60% less water needed compared to an equivalent cotton fabric. So, and then there were other stuff that were also included, and we did not even included the CO2 saving that comes into picture because the agricultural waste is no longer burned. We could have added that, but we ignored that part because it was, the figures were looking too good to be true. So we said let us remove that part. And from an operational point of view, what we have discovered that since banana tree fiber is a stain-phobic fiber, that means the stains, they don't go deep inside the fabric, they remain on the surface. So the washing is much more easy. I mean, you need less amount of water to wash the same fabric. It can be washed at a lower temperature. Like we all know cotton, you need 40 or 60 degrees Celsius. But a banana banana fiber fabric can be washed at 30 degrees Celsius to give the same result that as if you are washing at 60. What else? Then it's a strong fiber, of course. Then so it lasts much more longer. The wear and tear is comparatively less. So all this adds up also to in a way or not to its environmental benefit.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So we also did a LCA last year with 5 different indicators, such as CO2 emissions, water pollution, and resources consumption. And yeah, it was, of course, interesting to collect the data, interesting to compare to some other materials, of course, even if it's we worked with a company that has a software with global data, so it's not compared to something really specific, but just to the global data you have in the software that takes it worldwide. And yes, we could see that we had some interesting results on that side, so it was good, but we kept it as a tool for our company to see how we could improve on which topic, and we didn't use it as a marketing thing. It doesn't really make sense for us to show it as a marketing tool, especially right now. And we are not also in the topic of certifications that much, more into transparency. But of course, it's difficult to bring your customer everywhere with you. So maybe some solutions such as blockchain could be interesting in the future.
We have a panel discussion in 2 days, the 9th, with some solutions, blockchains and AI to follow the product.
Yes,
but
so
you can, like I know that Veja, they started by using, they were also quite not very convinced by the certification process, and they started by Instagram and showing all the back office of their business.
Yeah.
And as you said, the final customers, they are the first supports for new materials like yours. So communication can also be a great tool.
Yes, it's important.
Yeah.
And then on the technical part, we've been working with a technology that enables us to give different properties to the fibers to reach different markets. So with the same raw materials, we can really give different properties for the right needs of the customers. And it has been also something very important. But it's not measured in the LCA
All right.
or something like this. Everything has its own limit. but the whole story is interesting anyway.
So, Anu, have you some arguments to share with our audience?
Yes. Je vous rejoins sur les réflexions sur la certification. C'est-à-dire que nous, c'est même encore plus spécifique, c'est que pour le tannage de peau de poisson en cuir marin, il n'existe même pas de méthodologie. C'est-à-dire qu'on ne pourrait même pas comparer notre méthodologie de tannage avec un tannage bovin. C'est-à-dire qu'on est en train de lancer en fait justement cet ACV et à chaque fois on revient avec la même problématique qui est que même la méthodologie employée n'est pas adaptée. C'est-à-dire qu'en plus de ne pas pouvoir le comparer, il faut réinventer toute la manière de comptabiliser l'impact. Donc ça, c'est un des premiers freins aussi compte tenu de notre activité. Et le second, c'est que dans le métier du cuir, il n'existe que très très peu de certifications. Celle qui existe, c'est notamment LWG, mais qui, pareil, n'est pas adaptée au cuir de poisson. C'est-à-dire qu'on est juste trop différent pour être comptabilisé de la même manière. Donc, c'est-à-dire qu'on comparerait au mètre carré d'une vache au niveau de l'énergie qui est produite et consommée. Ça n'a rien à voir. Donc, il faut refaire la méthodologie pour être juste et sur de la vache, et sur du poisson, et sur d'autres matériaux. Le budget de cette étude-là, il est de plus de 50 000 €. Donc, on a préféré mettre un petit stand-by sur le sujet. Et la manière d'avancer là-dessus, c'est en étant 100% transparent. C'est-à-dire qu'on va transmettre l'ensemble des informations. J'ai commencé en vous donnant l'une des principales problématiques qui se posent chez nous, c'est le choix de la teinture. Ce n'est pas un choix facile, je ne sais pas si beaucoup de monde l'aurait posé comme ça sur la table. On pourrait avoir un cuir plus écologique, mais il durerait moins longtemps. Notre choix, il se porte comme ça. Et je pense que c'est embarquer les gens dans nos problématiques qui justifie un petit peu le choix. Et aujourd'hui, on propose de la diversité pour répondre à l'ensemble des solutions. Voilà.
Il y a une approche open source, quoi.
La plus collaborative et
Voilà.
transparente possible, oui.
Anis, you want to add something about?
Yeah, I think we also was contacted nearly by, I think, 45 certifiers with many different offers. And yeah, for me it was a little bit a jungle. So as for the paper, for example, we did the FSC certification, as there is one certificate all over the world that the industry and the end consumer knows about. In the textile, all this certificate, I think the consumer, the clients, they even don't know. So it's really difficult that the industry knows about, but the end of the users don't know about it. And they have really high costs and they are not transparent. And if I can't trust them, I think I can't sell this certificate, even not to my clients. And so what we do LCAs, end of life, all this data we can give to our clients, yes.
All right. On Wednesday, we also have a roundtable about label and certification, so maybe I will collect your questions and remarks for the speakers. So we are more or less, we have finished, or at least it's time to ask the audience if they have questions, but maybe before you have something to say that you haven't said already about our topic. Is that it for you, or do you want to add something? Someone?
Yes. I want to add something about, maybe it's a detail, but what can be called waste. I think in our case we use more the word byproduct, because the waste of today might be the valuable resource of tomorrow. And maybe it's just a detail, but is a waste really a waste now?
I will just add one thing. I did not mention that. Another advantage of using an agricultural residue, we use the word residue, we don't use waste, I don't know why, is for us that we see is it, okay, the pollution problem is sorted out, the dependency on classical fiber is sorted out, but there is another third thing is that it creates, at least in India and some other countries, the usage of agricultural residue creates an additional source of income for the farmers, because even if we are helping them clearing the fields because they have to make the space for a new season, we buy the waste from them. So that adds up to their the revenue. So it's also, let's say, a social part attached to it, and which is part of our business model. We're not doing it just to glorify our business model, but that's the way it is. We buy the waste from them, and we even train them to convert the stem into the fiber in the fields itself. For us, it helps logistically, and for them, it creates I would say seasonal local employment.
Si je peux compléter aussi, je vais rejoindre ce qui vient d'être dit sur le fait que, au final, est-ce que le mot waste est justement utilisé. Je pense même que, en-delà d'être dans cette logique de coproduit, on est même ici autour de la table des acteurs qui évitent que ces produits et ces matériaux deviennent des déchets. Et c'est pas forcément la mode de demain, parce que c'est aussi celle d'hier. Il ne faut pas oublier que l'un des premiers matériaux qui est issu de la consommation alimentaire et des coproduits, c'est le cuir. Aujourd'hui, les vaches, je suis désolé, mais il n'y a pas d'élevage par Hermès, par Vuitton et compagnie. C'est Charal et compagnie, c'est pour l'usage de la viande. Alors peut-être qu'il faudrait qu'on mange moins de viande. En tout cas, aujourd'hui, les peaux sont jetées et partent à la poubelle. Elles ont un impact sur l'environnement, donc il faut que ce soit une incidence des choix et de l'évolution de la consommation alimentaire. Mais si on continue à manger de la viande et qu'on veut moins utiliser de cuir, c'est littéralement se tirer une balle dans le pied et faire l'inverse de ce qu'il faudrait faire intelligemment. Et il faut bien entendu essayer d'éviter au maximum, mais ça a déjà bien été le cas sur la fourrure, il faut éviter justement tout ce qui peut être élevage pour la peau et compagnie. Et ça, c'est clair qu'il y a eu des dérives dans le monde du cuir, que ce soit par certains procédés, que ce soit par certains élevages. Le vivant, il faut le respecter et il faut utiliser intelligemment les ressources que l'on génère.
So more diversification, more apple, more fish, more bananas, and hemp, because we can also eat. My very last question was, alternative materials are challenged on their technical characteristics compared to traditional materials. They are criticized for being more expensive, less solid sometimes, and in some cases, the impact studies are unfavorable to them, very rare cases. But does this comparison really make sense in your case? And what are the main benefits from fashion brand viewpoints to choose your product over others?
I think the price point, I think we had that earlier as well, the price point for any new innovation which cares about the environment is normally higher, especially until you get it into a scale of business where you can really, this economy of scale, really gain from it, go into mass production, then it'll become more efficient. The comparison on the price is mainly driven by, let's say, the brands trying to save on money, not having to do something. Whereas if the innovators in the company, in the brands, especially at the brands, actually want to push for something, they will normally say, for example, Hugo Boss in the beginning said when they introduced like this Hugo Boss jacket, okay, we'll reduce our regular margins. We want to get it into the shop at a certain price point or not at the luxury level. And they understand with the time, everybody knows better how to use it in the tannery, cost comes down and it's more comparable to classical technologies. Then, of course, with any new innovation, when you come out, you are compared, for sure. In our case, for example, we even superseded classical tanned leathers. If you look to the dashboards, we have less in a car, less shrinkage than in a regular leather used for that purpose. So they said, okay, besides the price, actually, there's no technical reason why not to do it, which is why then BMW were the first. Now on the new iX, you will find Olivenleder even using our logo. Porsche is using it, the Volkswagen Group in Volkswagen, Skoda, for example. So it's when they also look to the competition and then compare and say, maybe we now need to get moving. One of them has to be the first mover. The other ones are then moving quickly after to not be left out. So of course you must withstand the comparison to have a chance. Price with the time needs to come down, also clear. Certificates can help. There's a lot of greenwashing, of course, going out there, mainly to make money from the certification body side and not so much helping the people. Cradle Cradle, ours is also Cradle Cradle Gold certified, and I must say they look at so many different aspects. Also for example, the people, giving them additional income, the social aspects about it, it makes much more sense rather than other greenwashing labels, which only say, okay, oh, we've got a nice label for textile, now let's make also one for the leather. People know it, but actually if you look behind it, and it allows for regular tanning solutions to get good ratings, at least for the consumer, the label is more or less a nonsense. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I think it's more a question that the society has to answer, because it's not a matter of price, actually, it's a matter of cost. As I said before, the real cost of so many products are not paid by the consumer, it's paid by all of us. And if policies and regulations are not changed to put that upside down, then actually I don't see a big chance of a huge scale-up of real circular and sustainable materials. This has to happen, and if it happens, responsible solutions will be more affordable than a lot of the materials we see in the market today.
So true.
For us, whenever the price issue came up, we went into the discussion. Instead of defending our price, we wanted to make sure that are we comparing apples to apple. Sorry for that, but that's the expression. Because I mean, we all know a €5 T-shirt is just sad thing to know, but that cannot happen if it is if everyone is paid the correct price throughout the value chain, if the material are sustainable. So this is where we discuss with the client. Okay, you want this price, but have you included all the parameters? And when they include all the parameters, they finally realize that, okay, I need the natural dyes, I need no water pollution, I need organic cotton in it, I need all the workers' conditions to be improved. You add up all this stuff and you come up with a price. That's what we are proposing. So at the end of the day, everyone is happy in the value chain. The final customer is also happy. So it's not about really the price. It's about if everyone is getting the right value, the product is it's not costly. It's the correct price. Mm.
Yeah, I also think it's quite a topic of policies to
regulate,
to give more rules and standards. Maybe it doesn't necessarily need to be very strict, but at least to move forward on new rules to promote more the sustainable materials instead of polluting materials, in my opinion.
Anyone else?
Yeah, the price point is a really critical theme. So
always.
Sometimes I ask me why steering my shirt is costs more than buying a new one. Could be, no. And as answer, we give always the transparency. They can check out where things come from. We have to pay all the people that work for us for the waste disposal, for all the regulation that we have in Europe or in Italy. So I think the price compensation with competitors, we can't do this. So if people want to buy cheap, they have to buy cheap. We can't offer the same price as an Asian product.
But people can accept to pay the right price for your product because it's good.
Exactly.
je pense qu'on fait face à un problème qui est même plus important que de se dire est-ce que on devrait diminuer les prix. Je pense qu'on est tous conscients du fait qu'on consomme trop en tant qu'humain déjà sur cette terre. On consomme plus que ce que la terre est déjà capable de régénérer chaque année. Donc il ne faut pas se voiler la face, il faut consommer moins. Une des solutions pour cela, c'est notamment la seconde main, donc d'avoir des produits et des matériaux qui permettent de tenir le temps. C'est une des premières pistes pour répondre à cet enjeu global de la surconsommation. Donc je pense qu'un des principaux problèmes, il est là. Après, c'est est-ce qu'on en est conscient, est-ce qu'on met des solutions en face et est-ce qu'on change nos habitudes d'achat pour ça? Alors la solution, enfin, aujourd'hui on a déjà quelques pistes et non, la fast fashion va encore relativement bien. Donc ça marche, mais ça reste encore assez théorique. Et le second point, c'est le combat contre le plastique. Le plastique qui aujourd'hui pollue nos océans, qui est présent dans énormément de vêtements et autres, et aujourd'hui qui est notamment l'une des principales raisons de la pollution de l'océan. Les microplastiques, donc juste le fait d'avoir par exemple un slip en matière synthétique, le passer à la machine génère des microplastiques, des nanoplastiques qui vont venir se relarguer dans l'océan, et ça on n'est pas capable de vraiment bien les traiter aujourd'hui, en tout cas suffisamment en quantité. Donc je pense que c'est les deux combats qu'on devrait avoir déjà aujourd'hui, c'est avoir des matériaux qui tiennent le plus longtemps possible et exempter le plus possible l'utilisation de plastiques qui ont des impacts directs sur nos océans.
Merci à tous. On va passer du coup aux questions rapidement parce que la table ronde d'après, justement, va parler de revalorisation et comment diminuer et revaloriser ces stocks. Donc ça fait une filiation directe avec ce que tu viens de nous dire. Merci vraiment pour vos interventions. Thank you, everyone. You have a question?
Hello, thank you very much. No, I just wanted to about this last point you were talking about. I think what you say that everyone is conscious that we have a problem today on the planet. I think that we are conscious because we are in the fashion industry, but unfortunately, I think that a lot of people and the majority of the people in France, in Europe, and then even more are not conscious about it, and we have a big challenge about the education we need to lead. And today people are not educated enough and people are not aware enough that we have problems. So about the price challenge for me is complicated because lots of people are not able to understand this price difference. So policies and politics need to go ahead with it, but education needs to go with it a lot because people need to understand that what the work you are doing has a higher price because of all the actions being made and all the people behind it. But there's a real, I mean, for me, just the point I wanted to add is this education we need to consider. And I've been working with students and I was talking to them and saying, okay, you have to be aware that you are in the system of fashion, so you understand lots of different elements, but lots of people don't understand them because they can't reach it. So fast fashion today, I mean, loads of people are still very happy to buy fast fashion and they feel that it's normal and they want to change every day their clothes. And other people, of course, are educated and know about it. But I just wanted to point the education point that is quite important. And for your industries, I think it's quite important to consider it. So sorry, it was just more a point than a question.
Yeah,
Thank you for your contribution.
Yeah, I'll just add on that point, and what you said is correct, and I think things are moving. I see that in France. I see that also in India. I see with the kids' clothes also. I mean, I see now organic cotton coming up, and slowly and slowly it will come. I mean, people. Maybe it's not the right example, but when iPhone came, like in 2006 or 2007, even people like me, I was like, okay, I'm never gonna buy such kind of stuff. I don't need that. Who's gonna watch movies on small screen or something? But finally, slowly and slowly, people adapted. And today, I think in this hall, everyone has a smartphone. And I think this thing will also come up with time, that people will realize that now it doesn't make sense for all the good reasons. And let me pay a bit higher, but I know that this is going to last longer. I know it has So I think it will come.
Yeah, for sure. With time.
Mais je vous rejoins même sur cette réflexion et j'ajouterais même qu'il y en a beaucoup qui n'ont pas les moyens. Et je veux dire, quand votre question au quotidien, quand vous vous levez, c'est comment est-ce que je vais me nourrir aujourd'hui, vous n'allez pas vous poser la question de bon, est-ce que je prends ce t-shirt ou celui-là. Enfin, c'est pas rationnel aussi. Donc il y a des enjeux et je pense que la réponse à l'enjeu de l'impact de la mode, il est bien plus complexe et bien plus complet et il prend ses racines bien plus loin que simplement comment je vais m'habiller et combien je mets pour acheter un portefeuille ou un t-shirt.
Et le sens des priorités aussi
Exactement.
dans les ménages.
Exactement.
Et contrairement, sorry, and we might think that maybe in countries that have economically a bit less than Europe, people might have the tendency to let me buy the cheapest stuff or something. And what I have observed, it's in these countries that people are unconsciously more ecological. They don't buy the latest trend. They want to repair it. They want to reuse it again and again. Unfortunately, it's in Europe that we see the fast fashion or cheapest clothes. Even my family in India, they are when they come here, they are very happy to see a 10-euro T-shirt or something. They said, "I'll never find that cheap price in India." So this also is we see more here than in let's say developing economy.
Yeah, and I would maybe also add, if I look to the tanning side, Europe they don't need that. Yeah, they think they are the top of the top. They don't need it. Yeah, but if we see. And they're even more afraid of new solutions coming up of their current business model. Yeah? They may have to change. No, I don't want to have to change. Yeah? And we see, for example, much more pull effect from the tanneries, for example, in India. Yeah? So the fastest growing part for us is, for example, in India, where the people see we've got a problem with the environment. Although those tanneries we work with already are at a very high standard, they can easily compete with Europe or other developed countries. But nevertheless, they say, hey, we have to do more. Yeah? And we have to make sure that we don't produce solid wastes and have to look where can we bring them. But we must do a change now for the future generations. So that's much more even seen in those countries. And maybe that's also, after the Second World War, people said, okay, I need to have something which I can repair. Yeah? I cannot afford a fast fashion product, yeah? Which is underlining what you're saying. Those people cannot afford a cheap product, yeah, which is not long lasting. Yeah?
So maybe you can discuss further with the audience right now, because we have another roundtable about revaluation, reuse, and how to diminish the stocks. So it was super interesting, and I would like to continue, but we had only 1 hour to discuss this very interesting and wild topic. So thank you to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Merci.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Merci.
Euromat.